union argues that this clause is outdated, it's backward, and it's discriminatory, and is calling for a more enlightened approach to mental health challenges. UCASE is also urging the private sector to follow suit and remove similar clauses from their employment contracts. The union is advocating for a more inclusive and a more supportive approach to mental health in line with medical advancements. Joining us this morning, we have with us the General Secretary of UCASE, Mr. John Levy, as we welcome you to The Big Story. Good morning, Mr. Levy.
Good morning, Richard. Thank you for having me on.
All right, I'm happy to have you as well, Mr. Levy, and this is a very, very important subject that we're broaching this morning. Let me ask you, what are the specific changes that you're proposing to replace the current clauses in the contracts as they stand?
So first of all, this topic is a very delicate one, and as you can imagine,
yes,
there have been different treatment of persons over the years in circumstances of this nature. So first of all, this has to be something that is treated in a manner with that I would consider to be the highest confidentiality in any organization.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
First of all, you have to establish direct channels with people who you have confidence in to deal with issues of this nature.
Mm-hmm.
And also the health professional is a connection that I believe is very important in this regard. And I think that there should be a specific procedure established in writing that outlines circumstances of this nature, how it is treated with. Mm-hmm. And I would want to be guided by the experts to a great degree. But to suffice it to say, they terminate dismissal without notice, or that is a no-no for me. That is a no-no. The take off duty pending assessment and so forth is the first door that I would not need. What you call administrative leave, so to speak. That is what I would first of all want, and to have the experts to get involved, and the next of kin, the family member, and so forth, to interact with the professionals, because this wouldn't be a management issue once it is fear that there is a challenge. I think it would have to shift out of the management to the medical professional arena for them to guide the process, because recovery, there are treatments, there can be issues, there could have been something that triggered a particular behavior at a particular point in time. And as I said, the advancement in the medical field, there are ways to deal with these issues right now.
I'm obviously no medical professional, so I have to be asking. For instance, I'm assuming that there are different degrees of mental illness. Would that be reflected in how you would want the clauses that you want included to be constructed?
Yes, I think that there has to be something in it that deals with the extent to which the person is affected. As you rightly point out, you're not an expert in the field, but I suspect there are a number of experts that will come forward from this to sort of guide the process. And as I have requested that the government, in the tripartite mode that they normally operate, labor, capital, government, and as I said, the health professionals in this case would have to be have that kind of quartet that would sit down and look at this issue. But certainly to send home somebody who have a challenge, instant, I don't think that has any place in today's modern workplace. And that would be the first thing that I would want to strike off the books.
Because people can have a mental health issue, and in fairly short order, they recover. And never affected again. So if at the first sign of a problem you're going to dismiss that individual, we can see how that would be seemingly almost unkind. So you are contemplating those clauses to be included.
Very well. That is so. That is so. I think it is very, very important. And the truth is that most of the time, sometimes persons themselves who are affected, they're not aware of it the way that maybe we think that they should.
Yes.
But it is a challenge that we don't. Nobody wants to have that kind of a challenge. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if there's any precise script to deal with it, except to be guided by the experts, in working with people and to bring them back around and to that moment that could have caused, that could have triggered, the whole process is managed. I say it's an expert field, and I would yield to the experts on that particular point.
The fact that these clauses have been on our books for a long time and they're just now sort of being brought to the fore, is this something that was being contemplated a while back by your union and other unions as well? Why now is the real question?
Well, I tell you, this field of industrial relations, there are so many things that come to your attention on a day-to-day basis. Workers get themselves in trouble. The net effect of that is that a worker loses his job. Is this child that is going to school, maybe a university student, high school, his family, his mortgage, everything gets affected by, and maybe a bad moment in his thinking at the workplace could get into a fight, and because of that, he's now out of a job. His children now cannot go to school. His mortgage cannot be paid. People end up on the street. So we have so many issues that come across our desk. People come down with different illnesses. For instance, a renal failure patient is somebody who is almost a death sentence in today's health cost environment. No company wants to keep somebody who has a kidney failure for an extended period of time. The cost of medical treatment, very, very expensive, 2-3 days a week dialysis. And, it's so many things come before us, which should be that I tell you, we some of them we try to, put them to the fore, and some of them we sort of wait as to, which one we tackle first. But this is one that I think needs some attention, and we're in the right on the what you call the middle of Workers' Week right now. Labor Day is on Thursday.
Yes.
I think that the government should really take a serious look at this particular issue. Yeah. And to come up with an approach, along with the private sector and the trade unions, to come up with an approach that, protects the person as best as they can and protects the organization that they are employed to. Because we're not saying that there couldn't be issues arising from employment, an employee, having a challenge, and that has happened from time to time. But, there must be a softer way to deal with this.
Yes.
This is not a disciplinary infraction. Misconduct, willful, deliberate misconduct.
Right.
This is something that people usually never have any control over.
You also no doubt have to bear in mind the concerns of other employees who might feel that one who's having a mental challenge could injure or harm them. So that is also no doubt being contemplated.
I totally agree with you, Richard. That's a very good point, because it is something that we would have discussed amongst ourselves as well,
Yes.
And that point could have been raised. But the consciousness and the awareness of the mental health challenge tells us that, the person is not, for most part, in control sometimes. And they need the help, they need the support.
Yes.
And the consensus from UK is that nobody is asking that these persons be thrown out.
Yeah.
Every effort must be made to, reorder them, to get them to come around, to and bring them back to normal.
Yes. We have a lot of listeners in the Jamaican diaspora tuning in right now. I'm also wondering whether or not, as a union, you have sought to get a blueprint, if they have one, from, say, the Jamaican diaspora that you can also adapt in our Jamaican circumstances.
Well, actually, no, I've not gone that deep as yet, but we still have some time. This thing is evolving. It has, maybe for want of a better term, taking on a life of its own. Because people have been, contacting me and saying, look, this needs to be dealt with. It's a long time. It's out there, and people just take it for granted and just insert it in the clauses. And somebody need to, pay some attention to it.
Yes.
So it is something that has taken on a life of its own.
Yes, UK has obviously taken the lead, but are you getting the cooperation of other major unions in Jamaica on this issue?
Well, I've had conversation with 2 colleagues already, and I expect to speak to some others this week, so we can, maybe put something together.
And speak with one voice.
Yes. It's neat.
And the call you're making, I understand, it is not just for the government, but you're also hoping that it will extend into the private sector.
Yes, because they do have contracts with that particular clause as well,
All right, John Levy, I want to thank you so much for coming on this morning and sort of dissecting this issue with us. We appreciate it, and we'll stay in touch with this, all right?
Yeah, Richie, and thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you, man, and have a good day yourself. Appreciate it.
You too.
All right.